Yeah, folks, we finally made it to Wasp, issue number 1, celebrating 60 years of the beloved Van Dyne and the legacy of the Wasp. Look, I need to say this right away. I am one of the few people in this world that genuinely loves Janet Van Dyne. Such a weird thing to say. I don't think the character gets the love or respect she deserves. I know that's so weird to say, but it's so true. She's a founding Avenger. She got pushed to the sidelines in the movies. They've never been able to find a way to integrate her into the modern comic books in a way that feels authentic and works. Why can't we just put her on an Avengers team? I don't know. It's a topic I'm going to discuss in greater length because I'm going to do an entire huge episode of my podcast on her because I love Janet. And I really liked the Ant-Man book that Al Ewing did a couple months back. I thought it was a great introduction to that character and just like, hey, here's all of them. It's good. And then you're like, we're doing a Wasp sequel? I'm like, okay, it's not going to be intrinsically connected to that because why would you do that? So here it is. It's the sequel to the Ant-Man book celebrating 60 years of Janet Van Dyne. Full disclosure, folks, this book feels like it's catered specifically to my tastes. This is so good. This is so fun. This is everything. I don't know if it's everything, actually, but if I were to write a Wasp book, it would look pretty similar to this. Something I have always said about this character is that she should never be portrayed as angry. She's a very understanding person. She is the mother of the Marvel Universe. I say that about Susan Storm all the time, but I also think Janet's kind of more like the free-spirited mom, where Sue's going to be like, put that down. Janet's going to be like, hey, you're playing that wrong, kind of like showing you how to have a little bit more fun in that capacity. I love that. And I also think, like, if we were to do, like, an adult animated cartoon, like, maybe not, like, as violent as Harley Quinn, but if we wanted to do, like, a really good cartoon about a Marvel hero aimed for adults, Janet's a good lead. Because she's got a dick ex-husband. But it's great. So, let's get into the Wasp number 1. No more rambling. I'll be talking more rambles about this character in the coming future on this channel. So, we open up this book, and it's just kind of like a flashback or reminiscent to like the early stages of the Wasp when she was created as a concept. It's following her father, Vernon Van Dyne, and he summons this weird creature that takes him and kills him, right? Big creepy thing that takes him. She finds him in the lab and she gets Hank Pym, like as an Ant-Man, kind of like just a before Avengers thing, to help solve the case. And he's being a dick, like, oh, well, it's clearly, like, unearthly, some alien thing, not understanding that, like, Janet's looking at her dead father. And he's like, sorry, I didn't realize. She's like, no, it's fine. I loved him, but I'm just kind of angry, and I don't know. I want to do more to help. I want to avenge him. Thus, she becomes a superhero. The artwork's great. Kasaya Ne is, I don't know a lot of their work, or Kasaya Ni, is that how you say it? Cassia Ni? I'm sorry if I keep messing it up, but really fun. I really like the thick line work that we see in the colors, like the kind of more like jaded angles for the body really works. It's a really good depiction of Janet. I really do like that. That was then. This is now. We cut to the present day, and Janet is living in the modern superhero world where, Luke is mayor. There's like the weird hero thing going on in New York City. Can't do any of that. What she wants to do is open up a bar somewhere. So it's like on the top of like this building. You kind of see like the windows are like shaped like the wings of a wasp. It says Van Dyne on the side. And she's talking to Jarvis because Edwin Jarvis is in this book. Beautiful addition. A great character to have in here. And she's just like, coming up with a name for the Avengers was easy. We were angry and avenging people. I don't know what to name this bar. I don't know what I'm doing here. They have a couple little backs and forth where like Jarvis keeps calling her Miss Van Dyne. She's like, come on, we've known each other a long time. You can call me Jan. And he's like, well, just the gentleman in me, the old school chap, and he's making a drink called the California Quinjet, which is like Tony's favorite from back in the day. And she's drinking it up just like, it's good. And she's just kind of just, I want this to be more than just like a costume place. Sure, there's an upstairs meeting room if costume people want to come and like discuss the business or whatever. But I also want this to be like a standard thing, just like a place people can come. So you figure out a name, let me know. It's like, Maybe we'll think of something together. That kind of idea. It's fortified like the Baxter Building, a really good place. And, they're just having a conversation. It's a beautiful depiction of Jan because she's just like, I want to make everybody happy. That makes me happy. I'm being happy by helping other people, finding them a place just to hang out and have fun in a classy adult setting, which I really love for her. It's just like, yeah, we're superheroes. I could design costumes and outfits all day, but hey, let's have a few drinks to just talk about the business. I love it. Oh man, I'm going to go way too in depth on this book. I can already feel it. I just love it so much. So she gets an alert from her watch saying, oh, she's got lunch with Nadia, and, they just fly away. And Jarvis is like, hey, tell Nadia I say hi. And she's like, oh, you call her Nadia, but call me Miss Van Dyne. I'm not going to forget that, buddy. Very nice. And then we just get a couple of pages of Janet flying through the city. She's in her 4-foot height, which means she's still smaller, but that's the smallest she can be to use her wings. And she's just talking to somebody at the mayor's office. Soroya, is she the one that appeared in the Thunderbolts book? I can't remember. But the idea is just kind of okay, I'm using my powers in public. I'm not getting into fights. If I see a supervillain, I'll let you know. We'll get the Thunderbolts involved. Wish Luke my best, kind of thing. Right? That's what we're doing. And it's fun and it works. And as she's just flying away, there's some guy called Phantasma, who's talking to home base, we have her on the move. And then Janet just finds her adopted daughter. Now, we could spend all day talking about Nadia, Pym and all of that stuff. It's confusing. We're not going to get into it too much. I just want to say this relationship of the mother and daughter is way more interesting than what we've ever seen in a Marvel movie. One of my biggest criticisms of Marvel is the portrayal of the Van Dyne lineage. I think it was bad. So this is her stepdaughter. Hank did some weird things. If a person... Yeah, we'll get in. We'll talk about Nadia's doing her own thing. She created this place called Girl. It's the Genius in Actions Research Lab, just finding the next generation of female super scientists to work on stuff. And we see that Nadia was working on this cathesis gun for Dr. McGowan in Texas. Dr. McGowan, of course, being a character from the Immortal Hulk run that Al Ewing also wrote. And she's like, I don't know anything about Gamma, but I was like, I thought I would try it. It kind of worked. But I was just trying to not get distracted. I kind of started to think about my mom, Maria Trovella, and I was researching her. I kind of broke into some labs to look at some stuff. And yeah, that's what I was doing. You see, Janet's not mad about it. As we get later on in the book, she's I completely get what she's doing. But Janet's just I want to make sure this girl is in the right direction. And I think it's a really cool thing to explore. It's very fun. So she also finds she had a grandfather from that side called Janos Trovella, but he was also killed, so I don't really got anybody. I don't know. It's weird. She's kind of upset about that, and it's just lame. He's dead. I don't really understand how it happened. It seems kind of shady, but it's just Janet just trying to be I want to protect this girl. Because I get it. I came into this line of work because I wanted to avenge my father, and we kind of get a retelling of that story where she kind of cries at the end of the thing. You're yeah, I just kind of became the sidekick to Ant-Man, and it was okay, whatever. Now, another thing I really appreciate about this book is there is a larger picture about Janet and Hank no longer being together. But I really appreciate how she doesn't speak about Hank in negative light. I feel a lesser writer would make that her defining characteristic. But Ewing's this isn't Ant-Man and the Wasp together. This is a Janet and Nadia story. Both of them have traumatizing experiences from Hank Pym. We don't need to have them in the book as a reminder. I appreciate that a lot. And the artwork for the flashback looks great. It's just that classic coloring and the dotted work. Utterly beautiful. I love the design for Nadia too. I'm obsessed with this book. One issue, and I think it's my favorite book of the year so far. This is just my thing. I love it. So she's I promise we'll figure out what happened to your family. And then boom, whirlwind breaks through the window. It's oh, not so fast. I'm okay, that's great. And yeah, it's David Cannon. He claims he was in love with, Janet, and it's come on, I tried to get him to stop this, and he was on the right path. So they have a really interesting fight, which I like. I don't think you need to come into a Wasp book expecting the biggest outlandishy fight ever. They're just evading his, whirlwind razor blade saw stuff, trying to figure out what to do. Nadia has an idea. She's got to get her helmet on. And it's just Janet being like, David, come on, man. You were on the right track. You were doing so good. And I told you, if you came back and you threatened my daughter or me, I would hurt you. I'll show you how I would hurt you. Like, go inside your ear and give you an aneurysm. And he's like, what? You're not going to do that. You're not going to kill me that way. She's like, you're right. I'm probably not. I don't know why I thought about that. It was weird. Am I angry? Do I have like repressed anger like my husband? That kind of energy. And I'm like, perfect. Nothing else needs to be explored. I love it. But she's like, Jan, shut up. I don't want to be here, okay? I was doing good. I was talking to my therapist. I was happy. And then boom, I'm being controlled to be here. But Nadia finds an opening in the helmet and kind of like short circuits him for a minute. They're able to knock him down just to neutralize him for a minute to figure out what they're doing. He's like, okay, if you're not here, you're obviously working for somebody, my sweet little David. So what are you doing? Who's here? Like, what is this about? He's like, well, it's the old man. He left a message, and I can't say who it was, but he just said, look in my eyes. He owns your soul. He's the devil. He owns your soul. And on David's forehead are the words, find me. But you're like, okay, that's kind of fun. Beautiful artwork. I cannot get over how much I'm digging just seeing Janet in a book. It's not my favorite costume of hers, but I understand why it exists. The color scheme, I guess, needs to be this color now. I don't know. I like the classic red. I like the period where she had the blue. But okay, more like a Wasp. It's fine. So we cut to Queens, and we see that the Phantasma robot is talking to somebody. This weird old man is like, and the Wasps will die here when I was only Janos Troveya. And you're like, oh, so this is Nadia's grandfather. Okay, kind of bringing it full circle. But he's also possessed by the weird muck thing that killed Vernon Van Dyne, Janet's father. And it's a big reveal of like, oh, look, big muck man, alien muck man thing. So bringing it full circle. Because I guess Janet doesn't really have like an arch nemesis, so the thing that killed her father makes sense. And that's where the book ends, and I'm like, yep, you got me, Ewan. I'm attached. I'm hooked. Pump it into my veins, you sweet gentleman. This is exactly what I want. Like, somebody having respect for Janet Van Dyne as a character. It's about damn time. Like, I've waited so long for this. Just a book that is solely Janet's. It's the one book I've always said, if I get to Marvel, if they're like, hey, we like what you did with your indie shit, do you want to do a book? I'm like, yes, give me Janet. I don't care if I have to throw her onto a team somewhere. Let me write Janet. And I love that this book does it. The artwork is spectacular. The coloring is fun. It understands the character. She is free-spirited, but she's also a concerned mother and willing to play by the rules of the world. You understand why everybody likes her and why she can fit into any bubble. And just great design work. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Instantly surpasses the Ant-Man book in my opinion. Maybe I'm biased, but I just love her. I love her so much. And I love every variant cover of this book. This is my thing, man. This is my thing. This is all I want. I am realizing I'm probably spending more time talking about Janet Van Dyne right now than any other comic book reviewer has in years. But she is an important character to the Marvel Universe who is a founding member of the Avengers, a founding female character in this world, and we have neglected her to Michelle Pfeiffer is just crazy from another world. And I'm like, why? Look what we can do when we try. She's a caring mother to a child that's not her biological daughter. She wants to help her supervillains. She isn't controlled by the actions of her husband. She isn't, out for this destructive nature to avenge her father. She gets it and it's cathartic. Like, that is the perfect foundation for a normal, functioning person who has been through shit. What more do you want? Thank you for making this a book. I love it. It's great. It's so good that there's not like a bunch of wasps that we throw in here. It's just kind of like Nadia, Janet, and that other guy for a minute. So that's kind of cool. I love it. Loving it. Exactly what I wanted. So, Wasp issue number 1, I'm going to give, surprise, surprise, a 10 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Just hold up a minute because on the Geek Wave in the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing an entire Janet episode. As always, you guys can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Hive, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.